Thanks to all of you for coming out tonight, and it's great to see many friends, and it's great to see new people. Our campaign is growing every day for the reasons I think that Cindy just articulated so well. I'll talk a little bit about my record in the state Senate and our record as a Democratic majority, but I want to start with how I started in politics, and that all starts with my family. My dad was a Depression-era scholarship kid who fought in World War II, and he and my mom, a high school history teacher, raised us to understand that the most important thing you could do was serve your community. And their lessons really resonated with my husband Tom and me as we started our family. Our oldest child, Ben, who is now 23 and a smart and funny Exeter High School graduate, is also very, very physically disabled. And it didn't take Tom and me long after Ben was born to realize that we were going to need a lot of help if Ben was going to get the kind of opportunities that all parents want for their children. So we were lucky. We lived in New Hampshire, and there were a lot of creative people, therapists and teachers. There were early intervention centers that helped us learn how to help Ben. And about 20 years ago, a school bus pulled into our driveway and picked up Ben for his first day of preschool. And all I could think about during that time, sitting on my stoop, was that in a previous generation, we would have been pressured to put Ben in an institution. But instead, he was going to school in his hometown, and he was going to learn, and he was going to be able to make friends. And as Ben's world expanded, Tom and I were able to chart our own course as a family. So Tom and I were both able to work so we could provide for the family. Tom's an educator. I was a business attorney. Eventually, we had Ben's little sister, Meg, who today is a college freshman and her brother's best friend. And what we learned as a family, as Ben's family, was that no matter how insurmountable challenges may seem, working with friends and families and neighbors goes a very, very long way. I'm running for governor because my family's been really lucky, and I want every New Hampshire family to have the same kind of opportunity to succeed that we did. It's really stunning. Cindy referred to it just a minute ago, but it's really stunning how different the agenda that we set in Concord as a Democratic majority, and even before that, Joe Foster will tell you that he and I started serving with him when we were members of the minority. But we were still able to work across the aisle and get some good things done. And the agenda we pursued, the contrast between that agenda and what the Bill O'Brien legislature is doing now, is just really stark. So let's start with working families. We recognize the needs of working families. We increased the minimum wage. We supported collective bargaining rights. We passed, as the recession hit, we passed the New Hampshire Working Program, which helps businesses and employees fight the recession together. What has the O'Brien legislature done? They repealed the minimum wage. There is no minimum wage set in New Hampshire anymore. They passed the so-called right-to-work legislation, eviscerating collective bargaining. And just recently, they even passed a bill that said we don't need lunch anymore in the workplace. In education, we brought public kindergarten to every child in New Hampshire. We invested in our college and university system. We cut the dropout rate by half. What has this group done? They tried to repeal kindergarten, right? They cut our university system by 50%. And something that a lot of people may not know, because only the House passed it last year, but they passed a bill to say that kids didn't have to go to school at all. They repealed compulsory education, the very foundation of our democracy and our economy. The story on, you don't like that.
The cat was attacking.
The story on environmental protection is the same. We work to protect the environment, and we also work to create incentives for a clean energy economy. The O'Brien Group has worked to repeal all that. Just most recently, they voted to repeal New Hampshire's participation in the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, long name, short acronym called RGGI, but really, really important in terms of bringing down carbon emissions and incentivizing a clean energy economy. In the most difficult economy in our lifetime, we balanced the budget. We did it while serving people in this state in need, and we did it without a broad-based tax. What have these guys done? Well, they just passed a budget with a $14 million deficit while cutting the cigarette tax. Doesn't sound much like fiscal responsibility to me. We expanded children's health care, we eliminated the developmental disability wait list, and we made sure that young adults could stay on their parents' health insurance up to age 26. These guys have cut health care for thousands of New Hampshire citizens, and the most recent thing they did, they have voted to opt out of the Medicare program for our seniors because the O'Brien legislature wants to run Medicare themselves. We can't let them do that, folks. And finally, we answered the civil rights call of our time by passing marriage equality in New Hampshire. And I'm very pleased that the legislature didn't pass the repeal bill a couple of weeks ago, but I can tell you that the two Republicans running for governor, Ovid LaMontagne and Kevin Smith, have both said that they will sign a repeal of marriage equality as soon as they get the opportunity. So that fight is not over. What we should be focusing on in New Hampshire is jobs in the economy. And the way I think we should best do that is to make sure that our workforce is the best in the country, because when it is, businesses will come. We will align our education system with 21st century business needs. We'll be second to none. And we will attract good businesses with good jobs in things like advanced manufacturing and high-tech companies to our state. We should be making sure that innovative companies want to come to New Hampshire to start, and they want to stay here to grow. I started the day in Amherst at Adept Mobile Robots, which is a similar story. A couple started a kitchen table business in our little state, and today, all over the world, people buy their platforms for robot technology to do research and exploration with. That's the kind of company we want in New Hampshire. But in order to do these things, in order to make sure our economy grows and our people prosper, we're going to have to win next fall. Our vision of this state is very, very different than the vision that the Republican candidates for governor have. Ovid LaMontagne has said recently that he would be a radically different governor than John Lynch. Now, under John Lynch, we had the 4th lowest unemployment in the country. We were rated the safest state, the healthiest state, and the best state to raise children in. So I don't think we can afford the LaMontagne-O'Brien vision of New Hampshire, and I don't think we want it. A couple of weeks ago, I had a press conference to ask both Ovid LaMontagne and Kevin Smith where they stood on the issue of women being able to make their own personal health care decisions. Where they stood on our ability to get birth control coverage from private insurance companies. And in response, Ovid said I was grandstanding. Well, folks, I will tell you that if standing up for a person's ability to make their own private health care decisions is grandstanding, I am in. And I hope all of you are in too. I will grandstand every time Ovid LaMontagne and Bill O'Brien try to gut working families, every time they try to suppress personal liberties, every time they buckle to corporate interests. I'll stand up against them and for the people of this state. I am very, very concerned that this state is turning into a place that I don't recognize. It's certainly, under Bill O'Brien, not the state I raised my children in. And it's not the state I want my kids to raise their kids in either. So I'm asking you all today for your support and for your help. We need to take the governor's office this fall, keep it in Democratic hands, but we need more than just to have a Democratic governor as a backstop, as a veto pen. We need to make sure that we win bottom up. We need to elect Democrats to the state house, and we need to take back the state senate. Because we need to protect the state we all know and love, and we need to move it forward. Thank you very much.